So I'm again about 185 pounds, 5'10". Here you see me wearing a size 54 and a large slash 34 for the climb gear. Okay, so we've already looked around at some photos and described this. I'm not going to dwell on the Baja suit too deep anyway, because there's a ton of really good video reviews out there talking about the features, the benefits, and owner reviews. I just want to talk through a few things that I find interesting about it, that I don't like about it, that I do like about it. And then we'll go on to the Dainese suit, which there's nothing else out there on it. So, really quick on the jacket. Again, I'm wearing a large. This is a usual, it's both a usual climb fit, which is what I would refer to as generous. And on top of that, it is also kind of sized to work with separate armor. So if you wanted to wear a compression suit or a some other sort of separate armor, you could. And because of that, it's very large for a large, I'd say. Just kind of loose fitting. And in addition to that, you have all the stretch material. So again, like the entire arm here all the way down the side to just above the waist is all stretch. You have stretch gussets running across the front. You have more across the back. And then in the pants, you have a ton as well. So it's sized for mobility to be loose fitting for airflow, etc. Now, the downside is, for me at least, I find this a little sloppy feeling. I could probably go down to a medium, but I'm not sure it would fit over my hips. It might get a little tight there, and I definitely couldn't layer underneath if I wanted to wear anything beyond like a super thin windbreaker. And the pants are just, and I think part of it is this mesh material. So the shoulder mesh is fairly rigid in the way it sits when it's at rest. And so like on the pants, when you saw me standing there, the pants are very wide feeling, bulky. They move great on you, but they feel kind of bulky, which isn't helped by the generous fit. I could try a 32. Again, these are 34. Maybe they'd be a little bit slimmer. I'm not sure. The one great thing, though, is they fit beautifully over quite bulky boots, as you saw, which is not entirely... I mean, common to climb, but not always the case. A couple things I really like about this jacket in particular that I think does show some very intelligent design. One is that you have mesh here, which if you're on a large adventure bike and you've ever like felt out airflow, in my experience, a lot of the air comes right here. So this is nice, it flows through. And then all the stretch material here, again, it's the same thing they use in like the Marrakesh suit. So this is highly air permeable. It's very similar to also like the mesh in a motorcycle or a leather suit, that kind of, stretch mesh or stretch material that moves with you that flows a ton of air as well. So that's really nice. You do actually feel the air coming into your armpits, which is huge blood vessel, a great place for cooling. I like the collar loop backs here. They're pretty great. The only downside is that, and this is with all the newer climb stuff, if you want to wear a camelback or any sort of hydration, it's not ideal because the straps are always going to be right here pressing this into you. This has a pocket for a hydration bladder. I would never use that because like this and this other thing to me too is when I have the back armor in, this jacket just kind of pulls back on me. So I pretty much always have to have it with the collar open or else it's kind of choking me a little bit. Otherwise, the adjustment straps are kind of useless. It's between huge and you snug it all the way down and it barely snugs. The armor's kind of floppy. It's small. That's shoulder armor. So again, your elbow armor is not that big and it does move around a little bit. It's not the most secure feeling, but it's not terrible. It's really bad on the knees in my opinion, especially over bulkier boots. I feel you have to wear separate knee pads. Quickly on the pants. Amazing design that all pants should have. You have a gusseted crotch, which is always wonderful, but it's also stretch fabric there and up the entire front and the side. So not only do you have the mesh panels flowing air into your thighs, which is great, but you have direct airflow onto, you know, your big groin arteries as well. So that's quite nice. You have a little bit of stretch articulation right here at the top of the knee pads, which is prevents binding when you're in a seated position. And then on the back side, you have the stretch material here is actually backed up by cordura on the inside. They have cordura all the way around, and then this like really strong mesh that they have used to back up vents and stuff. So this will be right over any buckles you have. So the idea there is you don't have anything on the inside that will get damaged over time by bulkier your pants, which is nice. And then finally you have perforated leather here. Here it doesn't really flow air through, but down here you're even getting airflow through the leather, which is, you know, pretty cool. That's mostly it on the Baja. Again, you saw the size comparison. You can see the huge impact zones on the main impact points. The airflow is pretty good. I wish it had mesh here. This gets a fair bit of airflow. But otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty brilliant piece of gear. I don't know, maybe more interesting to me at least, of the two. This is the Dainese Solarys again, and this is their like apex top end mesh suit with a genuinely absurd price tag. So MSRP on the jacket in the US is $999, which is frankly insane. The pants are, I think, $5.99 or $6.99, probably $6.99, knowing how crazy this is. That's absurd. Especially since the crazy thing to me is if you look at their website or you look at any of the listings, they don't justify it at all. It's just like, here's a jacket, it's cool, pay us almost $2,000. So to be very clear, I did buy these. I did not pay $2,000. I got them from a Spanish retailer who had them on like 30% off, plus also European pricing. So basically all in, it came to less than the Klim suit, which is still really expensive, but somewhat more reasonable. So kind of the big features of this is that unlike the Klim suit, which uses kind of solid fabrics on some of the exterior areas in your high impact zones, and then uses super fabric as your impact area. This is all like everything where you see this gray silver color or high vis, this is all mesh. It is a super tight weave mesh, and it is supposedly some sort of hyper material. What's really frustrating to me is they don't provide any details at all on what it's made of, why it's so cool, what the words mean. It's not certified particularly excitingly. In fact, it's certified just barely enough under the new European test norms to be saleable. That's it. So it's really frustrating to me that they're charging that much money with no good details and like no justification, in my opinion. At the price I paid, maybe a little more reasonable for something for what you're getting here. It's a really interesting material, and I'll show a few close-ups later on, just to kind of illustrate how unique this is. It's not, the closest thing it reminds me of is actually the shoulder mesh in the Baja suit and a variety of other suits. The BMW Rally uses it for the vents, and I see it used a variety of places. But the kind of like really stiff, almost coarse feeling of the way this is woven is, and the way it looks, it's like semi-translucent in some places, which is very similar to the shoulder material. So it's a really unique nylon. And they make a little bit about how they're like doing precise computer controls of the weave. So you have like, this is a single panel here with all these different threads and colors and stuff, and you have reflectives built in throughout. And yeah, sure, it's cool, but again, no justification or no details on why it's cool. A little frustrating. The other thing that I wasn't expecting when I ordered this, and that I'm genuinely disappointed about, and I'm going to nitpick the hell out of the suit, to be quite honest, because they're asking almost $2,000 for it. So in my opinion, when you're asking that much money for a non Gore-Tex suit, it better be fucking perfect. Okay. All of the black areas are stretch material, which is great. Like, you can see how close fitting this is on me, and you saw it in the other photos. And this is a size 54, which is like a large. And it fits great, and it's really mobile. If a little bit more restrictive than the Baja, just because of the way it's cut, and the fact that its stretch material is stretchier. Because they didn't use their really good S1 stretch fabric they use in their leather suits, and they have a newer one called like Aero XF, which is and those are stretchier and super durable. I've seen people crash in leather suits and skid along the pavement in them, and it just like leaves a kind of like a slightly melted area on the outside without wearing through. And it flows air. What they used here flows no air. So the only airflow is coming through the mesh. It's like literally the opposite of the Baja suit, where all the stretch areas flow air, but all the solids don't. Here, everything that's stretchy flows no air at all, whereas everything else flows air. It's a weird dichotomy there. And kind of annoying because it's a polyurethane coated stretch material. So what happens is, anywhere you see it, like your underarm, you get heat buildup. And when you're moving, you know, that's not as big of an issue because you're getting airflow around the body and out. But anytime you're either going really slowly, like, you know, riding up on the pegs through some tight terrain, or if you're stopped anywhere, like, this is hot. Other exterior details, you have adjustment here that actually works somewhat, which is nice. It does tighten the armor down nicely. I am using it on the inner of the two, and then a little bit further out on the biceps. It's a really clean design. It's a snap too, which is always great. Velcro does wear it after a while. Snaps usually don't unless they break, and they use good ones here. Another really nice feature, this has a double zip, so you can unzip from the bottom if you're finding that it's binding a little bit when you sit down. And for me, that was another thing I didn't like with the Baja, is because of how long it runs, when I'm seated on my Africa Twin, it's pushing up into my collar a little bit, or into my neck. So that's nice to have. And I'll be honest, I like the design. Especially the pants are very like a leather pant in design, which I think is kind of interesting. It's a very clean looking, despite all of the cool fabric, a very clean looking design. And I appreciate that a lot. It also has divided chest protector pockets, which is something the Baja does not offer. Klim, in fact, doesn't offer chest protector upgrades anywhere for some godforsaken reason. D3O makes chest protectors. I don't know why they don't offer that. It would be an easy sale of more stuff. But you do have chest protector pockets. This suit comes with level 2 armor everywhere, except nothing in the chest when you buy it, and the hips are level 1. Everything else is level 2 stock. So I paid just a little bit more than like this jacket wound up being, I think, $578 shipped from Spain, which is slightly more than the MSRP on this, but it comes with full level 2 armor. The Baja doesn't, so you're up more than this already, just upgrading the Baja to level 2. And just for comparison, so like at the elbow, this is the Dainese protector, and this is the Klim. And you can see, so the like main area is very similar, where this plastic covers, but the overall protection is much bigger. And then when you get down to the shins, it's honestly kind of hilarious. Like, that is the shin protector. This is the knee protector on the Klim. Honestly, kind of a little bit of a pain if you're trying to get it inside boots, but I was able to get this and the pants inside of my Garnet fastbacks without too much issue. I did have to like push the straps all the way out, but it worked. So that's pretty cool, because that means that you have like total protection from the knee all the way down to inside your boot with these. It's not bad. And again, that is all level 2. It's super lightweight. It's nice and flexible here. And what they've done to make it level 2 compared to their other standard, because it looks pretty much like a lot of their older armor, is they've gone to another layer of If you've seen like Revit Csoft or a number of other Csoft or C-Smart, the like layered sandwich back protectors, it feels like a layer of that material inside, and then the foam and the plastic. They're not terrible. They don't flow a ton of air despite being perforated foam and having all these holes. The D3O is better there. That's mainly it on the outside. So let's talk about the pants briefly. And again, this is where I'm going to start to nitpick again. So, unlike the Baja, where I specifically said, hey, the stretch material on the crotch flows air. That's great. Nothing. This is all that same coated stretch material. A little frustrating again. Some just a little weirdness. You have 3D mesh here on the outside. Okay, so this is the adjustment panel for the side adjusters to snug it down on your waist. 3D mesh is on the outside. The bit that contacts your skin is non-breathable. So the breathable bit is facing it's like there's a lot of little weird moments like that on this garment. You have, on the thighs, you have this wonderful mesh panel. It's also a pocket. It has micro Velcro. The instant I move at all, the micro Velcro pops open. So basically these are always unvelcroed, just because of the stiffness of this material and the way they've designed it. Other weirdness. This opens as a gusset. You could probably get it over a adventure boot, maybe, if it's not super bulky. Otherwise, this winds up being in the boot. Well, if it's in the boot, it's snug down around your leg. This has no airflow. And not only that, but kind of the way the Klim did Cordura and that really strong mesh. Well, they do something on the inside too to kind of protect, give you a bit of a gusset and protect the, I guess, the inner fabric from your buckles. But in a truly baffling choice, what they've chosen is a coated nylon. So if you have this inside your boot, where it's really hot and sweaty, this is just making everything hotter and sweatier. It's just like, I don't know, it's frustrating to me. You do at least have pretty good airflow. You've got the panels on the side, the front, over the knee. Again, this is all airflow. So there's one nice thing is, unlike almost every single other pant out there that I've seen, you have airflow going directly to your knee. When you're sitting on a bike, that's an area that does get actually a bunch of air. Most of the rest of your leg doesn't get a ton of air in my experience on an adventure bike. And then you have an exhaust area up here. So, you know, it's not terrible, but it's not great. And you're asking an absurd amount of money. Kind of the same thing with the jacket. You pay $700 for a Dainese leather jacket. They put 3D mesh in the back protector pocket. This has a, not as nice, but still 3D mesh in the back protector pocket. That keeps the back protector away from your skin, so it's more breathable. You get airflow better, and you know your back is always a very sweaty area in hot weather. This is made for hot weather. No 3D mesh, $1,000. They didn't even bother to put that detail in. It's like honestly aggravating. And that's, I don't know. It's I'm a very mixed feeling about it. It is a super durable looking, again, no test results, really unique feeling, fairly attractive, pretty good airflow suit with a lot of little annoying bits. It has really good armor, but it's almost too big armor. Like there's too much there to be comfortable in some areas, and it doesn't flow air through it. So you're really, in some ways, blocking off a ton of this mesh with armor. It's got really good retroreflectives all over, which is nice, and just a solid win. At least it's a decent color. It's like a medium gray and silvers, and all the high vis, which is safe. It's just like, I genuinely expected more, especially with the asking price. I think if you buy this in the US, you're hoping it's as good as Dainese says nothing about, and it's not as good as it could be. I think that's the most frustrating thing to me. A lot of gear isn't as good as it could be, in my opinion, but they're usually not asking $1,000 for it. And I think that's what it boils down to, is if you can get this suit for under, 800-ish, and you really want a Dainese suit, it's pretty cool. You'll probably want to like cut those gussets out, do some modifications. At least you're getting really good armor everywhere. It tests really well. The certification results they have listed show this being excellent armor. It's got great coverage, but it's not worth $1,700. Okay, so here's just a few sections of the Solarys, and then for comparison, here's a section of the Klim's mesh.